Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. And we are a healing and teaching community promoting awareness of the divine potential in everyone. And I hope everybody had a beautiful Christmas, Hanukkah holiday celebration. And today we have Reverend Lori back here today. So join me in stating the purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. So I have a couple of announcements this morning. Number one, very important, it is our slogan. It's a little different this year because we don't have everybody in here to, give us suggestions and all of that, but we do have some entries. So what rhymes with 2021? There's, let's have more fun in 2021, fun in the sun in 2021, virus be gone in 2021, plenty of fun in 2021, and prosperity for everyone in 2021. Prosperity, everyone, 2021. Good. Peace and healing for everyone in 2021. And we've only just begun in 2021. That was the first entry. All right. And one more other thing is the annual membership meeting is on January 24th. And we have, at this point, we don't know exactly how we're going to do it, whether it's going to be Zoom or in person. If people are comfortable in person, please do come in. But we will be sending out information on that shortly. So, let me just start with an invocation. So just join me as we come together on this beautiful day in the consciousness of oneness, of unity and peace. We gather here today in this sacred moment to celebrate life, to hear the truth, to allow love to permeate every part of our being, to let go of what happened yesterday and allow ourselves to be in this present moment with our hearts open, our minds open, our consciousness fully awake and aware, knowing that right here, right now, God is. God is the one power, one presence, one life. We are inseparable from God in this oneness of power, presence, and life. And from this place of oneness, I speak my word of blessings for everyone here, physically, or join us online, and all who made this service possible. I bless our friendly ushers and greeters. I bless Tommy for his dedication to our center and his beautiful music. I bless my fellow practitioners for their prayer work, ongoing. I bless our board of trustees who takes good care of the business of the church. I bless our congregation and our spiritual family all over the world who continue to support our center even though they cannot be here in person. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I bless the people working on the front lines and our leaders in our beautiful country. A special blessing for our guest minister, Reverend Lori McMacken, for her dedication to the teaching and beautifully living it. Here today to inspire us with truth and light, and I bless this service knowing that it is already perfect and it's exactly what we are here to hear. And so it is.
Need to be still, let God love me. need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Good morning, my name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful center. And for today's spiritual reading, I have chosen some excerpts from this beautiful book. It's called Inner Light, an Informal Portrait of a Philosopher. And it's written by Dr. William Hornaday, who was a dear friend of Ernest Holmes. And it's a beautiful book. It's a friend's point of view of a teacher and a friend. And I had so much fun reading this book. And so I chose a few things from here that may pertain to what we were talking about today. So here's a quote that Dr. Holmes loves from the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. That was the true light which lighteth every man that comes into the world. And that's from John 1:5 and 9. And an excerpt from one of Dr. Holmes's talk to a group of people who encouraged him to start a church. We are the first group of people who ever formulated a religion, a code of ethics, tenets of belief that has no personal opinion in it, no personal preference to it, that has no one to please and no one to displease. All we know is within. I believe that science of mind is the answer of the ages to the call of the ages. I believe it is a thing of destiny, and I believe it will extend around the world and heal the world. I do not know when, he paraphrased Browning, I shall arrive sometime, somehow, someday. In God's good time, I shall arrive. We offer not a distant event. It is here. It is now. It is today. Let this be a lesson to the world, that others seeing this light shall find the way again, there in the night. And never forget this. One man with God is totality, is a completeness. One opinion consistent with the truth is not a positive statement, but an absolute fact with no relativity in it at all. Our time should be devoted to the knowing that truth, which will set men free from the problems of ignorance, that truth which alone can bring enlightenment to the world, that wars should cease, that people should live together as harmonious human beings who have recognized the divinity in each other. We have lighted a torch, and the flame comes from a wick which is rooted in the mind of God. Let's bear witness to the edifice of light with its glass walls and gardens, to the concept that God is love, truth, wisdom, beauty. More, we bear witness to that which is beyond beauty, the essence of beauty, to that which is beyond knowledge, to the essence of wisdom, to that which is beyond love and living, to the essence of love and life. Dr. Hornaday writes, Ernest Holmes' philosophy insisted, and demonstrations proved, that we can know peace of mind, health, abundance, and growth in spiritual understanding by journeying with an already believing faith to the power within, the divine I am, the light that lighteth every man who comes into the world. A shining path awaits each of us, it is said, and those who seek will find it. And so it is. And let me complete with a prayer. Actually, this is the first part of the Science of Mind. When you discover Science of Mind and you open up to the first page, written by, of course, Ernest Holmes. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open and thou art welcome in my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid and the fruits of life spread before thee. The wine is here also, sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit, drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. And so it is.
God is light and I am light. God is life and I am life. God is joy and I am joy. God is love and I am love. God is peace and I am peace. God is power and I am power. God is strength and I am strength. God is all these things I am. God is all these things I am. God is all, and so I am.
Thank you, Tommy. God is and I am. That was beautiful. Thank you, Tomoko, for your beautiful reading. And also, good morning, CSL Fullerton. My name is Reverend Lori Mack, and it is my pleasure to be back here with you again. I want to bless Dr. Bill and his wife Beverly as they are on a well-deserved time off. So today we'll be talking about living in the light, and I didn't really realize that your theme this month was living in the light in the Christ consciousness, so it fits in perfectly. And talking about themes, I love the ideas for your themes for next year. Fun and prosperity in 21 is just beautiful. And so what we know for you, I mean, all the themes were really, really good. I love that one. But what we know for everyone here at CSL Fullerton is that you are the light of the world, and you are the one that is spreading the love and that light throughout the world right now, especially right now in this time of the pandemic. We are coming out of this time of darkness. They need practitioners of light out there holding the absolute truth for what is happening, that we know that whatever is happening right now is perfect and is divine and is in perfect order to heal whatever the collective consciousness that needs to be healed right here and right now. We know that when people pass, that you're never born and you never die, that you are eternal beings, and that you're a continual of consciousness, but it's the people of the light that can hold that for the ones who are passing, or for the people that need that love and that healing at this time. You know, we just had a practitioner at CSL Carlsbad make her transition, and it wasn't because of COVID-19. She was 66 years old, completely healthy, and all of a sudden had a brain aneurysm and passed away. Her husband became a widow within seconds, and it was just not even expected. But there's so many gifts that she has left us, and people who do pass, they leave us many gifts about living in the present here and now and really doing what it is that you want to do and the gifts that you want to give to the world as we continue to know the truth about them and the truth about our own lives. But 10 years ago, I was a practitioner and she was taking a foundations class, her and her husband. And you know, at the end of foundations class, how you give your last project, right? Well, her and her husband did a PowerPoint. I thought, wow, a PowerPoint. And they did it around radical forgiveness because they were studying to become radical forgiveness practitioners. And I thought that this spiritual practice was so enlightening. And then last year when CSL Carlsbad had a spiritual retreat, she came in and spoke about radical forgiveness. And it really has been a beautiful gift that she has given me. And I just want to remind you of this spiritual practice so you can be that light in the world, because it's important right now that our collective consciousness is calling for a great healing. And there's nothing wrong with what's going on right now. It's also divine and it's all perfect. We just know that we are living in fear and separation, the mass majority of the consciousness, and it's up to us to recognize that there's only one life, one God, and everything is perfect, and we are never separate from the divine. So in radical forgiveness, there's two ways of being. You have the world of humanity, and I would say the world of humanity is mainly explained through the relative world, where you live in a sense of fear, doubt, and worry, and you think that there is death, and you think that everything that happens to you, that you are a victim of circumstances. Like right now, it's easy to think that we are a victim of circumstances with this pandemic because we can no longer do things as freely as we could before. However, there is another world that they live in, and this is the world of divine truth. This is the world of mysticism. This is the world of the absolute, knowing that everything is perfect just the way it is, and there's nothing to forgive, and whatever is happening right now is here for our own personal healing, for what needs to be healed within us. And this is really, truly a beautiful thing when we practice this. So without exception, everything that's happening to us right now is divinely guided, and is purposeful for our greater good in the world. And we can take the victimhood out of our lives and recognize that everything is in perfect order. Now, think about it. Have you ever had anything in your life that continued to happen over and over and over and over again? And you recognize, oh, maybe this needs to be healed. Like, let's say maybe there's a abandonment, like maybe you were abandoned when you were younger, and all of a sudden everyone who comes into your life, they continue to abandon you. Well, in radical forgiveness, they believe that we have soul contracts before we come into the world. So we're coming into the world to live our life and learn our lessons, blessings, and gifts. And we're saying, okay, I'm going to be the mother and you're going to be the daughter. I'm going to abandon you, okay? And then after I abandon you, you're going to have many other people who you are contracted with to abandon you. So you can heal this sense of separation. You can know that there's something within you that needs to be healed. And when you recognize that, people will no longer abandon you, and this will and you will know the perfect truth about yourself. So this is how radical forgiveness works, that we come here as a collective to heal each other and what issues need to be healed in our lives. For example, there's a woman whose name is Laura, and Laura gets married and her husband leaves her. And then she has 3 other marriages, and every time she gets married, her husband leaves her again. But there's something within her consciousness that needs to be healed. And something happened to her when she was really little, and her parent had left her, and she felt it was her fault, and she felt unworthy. So all of a sudden there was a worthiness issue. I am not enough. I am not lovable. And so people in her life are projecting to her what needs to be healed in her life. And so this is part of the radical forgiveness process, is that realizing that everyone is here for a purpose in our life, and they're here to forgive us and what needs to be healed within us. So Laura can choose to see that there's nothing wrong, and that these people in her lives are just angels. They're angels in the sky, giving her the gift of healing her false beliefs. Now, there's two types of forgiveness. There's a traditional forgiveness, and then there's the radical forgiveness. In traditional forgiveness, you believe that I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. Have you ever done that? I know I have. I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget that you betrayed me. That is traditional forgiveness. Now, Jesus taught us that when we forgive, we must forgive 70 times 7. But what he's teaching us is that the repetition of forgiveness over and over again, then it becomes cellular within our heart, our mind, our body, and our soul. But within radical forgiveness, you're coming from the space of the absolute. You're coming from the space that nothing is ever wrong and nothing needs to be healed and everything is complete and you don't ever have to forgive anyone. So you know that they are here just to heal you. It is up to the person to have the awakening that there's something within me that needs to be healed. And once that is healed, then we stop attracting the people in our life who may abandon us or betray us or show us where we need to be healed or show me that I'm not good enough or I am unworthy. These are common places that need to be healed in our lives. Now, what happens when we have people in our lives that we have to forgive is that we keep them prisoner within our mind. Yes, we keep them prisoners within our mind. And matter of fact, I believe as I thought about this concept, that I might have 3 buildings in my mind with prisoners in it. I might have a building that says, oh, well, you don't love me, so I'm going to keep you as a prisoner. And another one that might be the abandonment prison. The other one might be the betrayal prison. And how do we keep these prisoners behind bars? We keep them behind bars with our stories. The stories that we tell about how they wronged us and how we were the victims. That's how we keep them behind the bars. And this is a lot of energy. It's a lot of work to keep these stories alive in our mind. Now just think of all this energy that we can use to create in our life instead of keeping the prisoners in our mind behind bars. I know that if I would just stop telling the stories, that the prisoner, the real prisoner that will be released is myself, right? Then I would be free to do more creative things and then thinking about the past and what happened to me in the past and who did what to me in the past. Matter of fact, there was some time ago, about 10 years ago, I went through a breakup, a 16-year relationship, and he had betrayed me. Oh, it was horrible. You know, for me, it was just a devastating experience, and I had to get on the plane to go visit my father, but I couldn't get on, I didn't know how I was going to get on the plane because I was in so much pain. I was suffering. So I prayed, like, God, please, how do I get through this? And I took a book and I opened it up and I did a God shot. And in the God shot, it said, all suffering is due to attachment. And I said, okay, well, what am I attached to? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm attached to my story. That's what I'm attached to. I'm suffering because I'm attached to my story. Well, I'll just give the story up. I can't get the story up. I'm right and they're wrong, you know. Do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? In that moment, I was feeling that I had to be right. I wasn't willing to give the story up. But what I know about forgiveness is that if we say that I am willing to forgive, I might not be ready right now, but I am willing to forgive. And I'm willing to practice radical forgiveness. I know that today, the person that betrayed me, I feel so blessed that he did that because there's something within me that has been healed. And I just feel grateful for that. And I'm friends with that person today, but it brings tears to my eyes to think about, you know, all the gifts that he has given me in my life. And this is a part of the radical forgiveness process. In the Navajo Indian tradition, they call this woundology, where they want to heal somebody's wounds. So if you've been betrayed or something had happened to you and you are the victim of circumstances, what they do is they have a circle, and you're allowed to come into that circle and tell your story. And everyone in it listens to you deeply and with compassion. Now, you're only allowed to go in the circle 3 times and tell your story. On the 4th time, everyone turns their back on you. And they said, we heard your story. That is enough. And now it's time for you to, heal and to move forward. Instead of, gnawing at it time after time. Like I know Colin Tipping is a gentleman that wrote Radical Forgiveness. And he gave many radical forgiveness workshops. He has radical forgiveness worksheets online that you can download. But what he have found out in the medical community, that the people that have repressed feelings in their body and they don't get those feelings out, they usually have diseases such as cancer, because it's down in a cellular level. So we started working with people in the medical industry who had diseases. And there was one woman who had stage 4 cancer, and all her friends wanted her to go to the colon tip-in workshop, and she didn't want to go. So her friends paid for it for her and got her there. And while she was there, she had this awareness that when she was 2.5 years old, a traumatic situation happened in her life, and she felt herself to be unworthy. So she knew that there's something within her that could be healed on the absolute level. So she waited to have any kind of cancer treatment, and she decided to go to a prayer workshop for a week where they intensely prayed over her with a feeling of being healed. And she prayed herself with that feeling that I am healed, because it is the feeling of prayer that creates the healing. And what happened to her is she went back, and her oncologist looked at her, and he was in disbelief. He said, "I can't believe this, but you don't have a trace of cancer within you." So a part of the healing is really through the feeling and not repressing the feelings that we have within us. So how do we radically forgive? Well, there are steps. There are worksheets online, which I like. What I like about radical forgiveness, that it has evolved so much. You could do a radical forgiveness for just a grievance that you have, or for money, around money situations, or self-forgiveness. There's different ways of using these tools that are offered to you. And if you go to radicalforgiveness.com, you could actually pull in a lot of tools. And I also went to YouTube and learned about a lot of the radical forgiveness culture. Now there are like 5, I think on the worksheets there's like 13 steps, but if you want to just do like a 5 basic step of radical forgiveness, the first step would just to be to tell your victim story. Like, don't spiritualize it at all. Just like flat out tell your victim story, that someone, hit you with their car and you banged your head up and you were in the hospital and they were drunk and this is their fault. Totally be the victim in telling your story. And the second step to radical forgiveness is to feel the story. Feel the anger, get mad, punch the pillows, swear a couple times, do whatever you have to do to get that feeling out of your throat. And it's really the throat that has to speak, that releases those feelings. Because it's really how we feel that creates the deal, and we want the release of the feeling out of the body. And then the third step of radical forgiveness is to collapse the story. We realize that if I keep that story running, that I will continue to suffer in my life. That we have to give up the story, and we have to give up the prisoner within our mind, and we have to allow them to be released from the jail in our mind. And that by the time we do that, we can have compassion for ourselves, and we can have compassion for everybody who's involved in the story. And sometimes, forgiveness really is a process of evolution, you know what I mean? So you have to really take each step, and it takes time to go through each step. It can't be done like in 1 hour, but sometimes it can. Depends how deep it is. And then the fourth step is to really spiritualize a viewpoint. I know there's something within me that needed to be healed. And I projected that out, and you are showing me where I needed to be healed. So I'm grateful for this, and to be grateful and to surrender to this transformational process of needing to be healed through radical forgiveness. And the fifth step is the integration. When you integrate radical forgiveness in your life, you embody it in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. It becomes totally who you are. And you live in this place of great gratitude, knowing that you've had this perfect healing by this angel that had come into your life. well, everything is so different right now that I actually went on to a birthday party. I'm sure you've been doing memorial services and birthday parties on Zoom, because I know I have. And my girlfriend had a birthday party on Zoom. And she was really amazing. And she never practiced radical forgiveness, but from if you ever hear her speak, you would think that she has. Because during her birthday party, she said, well, really, who I want to give gratitude for is my mother and my father. She said, they're both dead, but they both betrayed me. My mother left me when I was a baby. My father put me into a girls' school, and then when I came home years later, he verbally abused me. And so she said, it's this lifetime of her revealing the healing in her life that now she wrote a book called Only Love Remains. And she is here to heal other people. And if it wasn't for that experience, then she wouldn't be fully who she is today. It's just so beautiful. And then I remember she just stood there and she just gave gratitude for them for showing her where she needed to be healed and allowing her to give her gifts and her talents in the world through this experience. And there was also a radical forgiveness coach who got cancer, and they wanted to do treatment on her right away, and she said, no, let's just wait, another 2 weeks. And she went into a cabin out into the woods. And during that time, she did radical forgiveness worksheets. She went through the dark night of the soul. She cried and screamed and got all her repressed energy out of her body. And by the time she got out, she had very little of the cancer left in her body, and it was very easy to cure her of this disease that had been embodied within her system. I don't know if you know this, but I walked the Camino de Santiago de Compostela last year. I mean, it's a 500-mile journey in Spain. And I talked to a lot of people while I was on this journey, and this one man was telling me about a woman that he met, and she was so angry when she went on to the Camino. Her husband gave her the HIV virus. She said she was just seething with anger. So there is a mountain on this journey called the Forgiveness Mountain. And they went up there, and he held space for her while she screamed and yelled and cried and banged things around and just got everything out of their system. And she became part of the family that he took with her. You kind of gather family while you're on this 500-mile journey. And by the time they got to Santiago de Compostela, she no longer had this anger and resentment for her husband. She actually had a sense of compassion for him and a sense of compassion for her, for she was healed. So it is through this deep healing, this deep prayer, that we feel like when we pray for the world, you don't want to pray for peace. You want to pray that you feel peace. I feel that peace within my heart, my mind, my body, my soul. You want to become that which you want to project out into the world. I feel that healing within my heart, my mind, my body, my soul. I feel that abundance. The first step for really gathering abundance in your life is feeling the abundance. Seeing the grains of grass and the blades of grass or the grains of sand or every leaf on the tree. It's the feeling of awesome abundance that is all around you that allows you to manifest in your life. And this is how we manifest things in our life through the lost mode of prayer. Now, Greg Braden wrote The Lost Mode of Prayer, and he quotes, "When we know beyond any doubt that we already speak the feeling language of prayer, we awaken that part of us that can never be stolen, lost, or taken away." And this is the secret mode of prayer, that we take our spiritual mind treatments and we feel the treatments when we are praying. That it's just not a spoken word, it's a feeling that we bring into the light. So, when we are living in the light, it's a choice to live in the light. And you are the light holders of the world. Each and every one of you is a divine light. And you have a choice. And sometimes when you do radical forgiveness, it might not feel good, but you can say yes to it. And what happens on a spiritual level is that you start to have a shift, a paradigm shift in your mind, your heart, and your body, and your soul. So we can see the world right now is in perfect order. We can see the collective consciousness healing. We can see whatever needs to be healed in our lives being healed. We can feel that radical forgiveness for all people around us, knowing that they are angels of light coming into our life to heal us of something that needs to be healed within us. So I just want to share a cute story with you before I go. And there's a couple who is returning from the hospital, and they have a little baby. And they also have a 3-year-old little girl at home, and they want to introduce a 3-year-old girl to the baby. So when they get home, the baby goes, I have to speak with the baby by myself. And the couple were a little like not sure. So no, I've got to speak to the baby like right now by myself. So they let her in the room with the baby, and they put the monitors on. And then they heard, baby, hurry, tell me about God before I forget.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. I invite you to close your eyes and to go within as we remember that feeling of the divine spirit, that feeling of wholeness, that feeling of oneness that we express out into the world. For I know that each and every person here is that divine light of love, of wholeness, of peace, walking on Mother Earth, vibrating that light to all people around, knowing that our collective consciousness is in the need of a great healing. And what I know, it is already done in the mind of God. There is no separation. There is only wholeness, and there is only oneness. And so I bless this year to come in 2021. It will be filled with prosperity and fun. It would be filled with joy and a new awakening, a new way of being in the world, knowing that we are all one, we are all collective, there is no separation, that we are the essence, we are that light, we are that joy, we are that wholeness of the divine. And I release my word into the law, knowing that is good and it is done, and so it is.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
Prosperity and fun in 21. We just want to know right here and right now that the universe is prosperous. So please don't forget your spiritual center, for we are here to support you spiritually and keep you on top of that mountain so you continue to shine your light forward. And so let's bless these gifts. We bless these tithes, gifts, and offerings, knowing they are given from the center core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. And we send them forward with no strings, no conditions. And so it is.
Bring it on, everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm not crying, I'm not waiting, I'm not hoping against all hope. I'm not longing for something gone that'll never return. I think I finally learned, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm not grieving, I'm through thinking that this life I live is ever coming back. No more wishing someone else's star, it'll never be mine. This time, bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. Bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be it's gonna be everything.
Tommy, that was beautiful. So I just want to remind you in closing that if you would like to have a spiritual mind treatment, please go to the website or email CSL Fullerton. Also, the email goes out every single Wednesday, so if you're not getting the email, please contact CSL Fullerton at www.cslfullerton.org. And something wonderful is happening through me now, and so it is.